people like to treat life like it's a game. But the difference is, if you win a football game, you get to celebrate after you win. In life, there is no after the game. There's no celebrating after you win. All there is the game.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to enjoy playing.
Get ready, it's the new edition. Your favorite morning meditation. Hey, it's me, pardon my success. I'm a hot mess. Pardon my success. Pardon my success. Pardon my success. Pardon my UPMS. And pardon my success.
Joel Bouchard, welcome back to Pardon My Success.
Thanks for having me. It's been... I couldn't remember if I was your first guest or one of your first guests.
You were one of the first. I literally think you were first season, maybe second or third guest, which was crazy.
Yeah, I tell people I always like to be the first guest on people's shows. Not for any narcissistic reason, because, I mean, usually if you're the first guest, nobody's going to hear you because there's no following. But I like to be people's first guest because I like to help them out, you know? Yeah, I keep seeing your episodes popping up every once in a while, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that she's still out there doing it, you know, because podcasting is one of those things that kind of falls off after a while with some people. So I keep seeing you out there putting out new episodes, and I'm happy to see it continue on.
Well, thank you. It's so great to have you back. Oh my goodness. We keep up and catch up every so often. If you guys haven't watched the episode of me and Joel from way back when, go check that out. It's a great time. Joel is a super talented, incredibly amazing musician / veteran / doctoral candidate / did you finish your doctorate?
No, I'm about to start my dissertation in the fall, so I got about a year and a half. But I'm getting there.
Oh my gosh. Psychology doctorate, almost. He's getting there.
Yeah.
You have your own podcast, From Nowhere to Nothing, which I'm excited to chat a little bit about. And you just are literally like one of the most talented and speedy musicians I have ever met, which is so funny because we met so early on, and Joel ended up, after our first episode together, doing like all of the instrumental tracks for my first single, Nice to Me, which is out now. You can listen to it, and it's incredible. You are incredible. The amount of people that were like, who is that on the guitar? Who is absolutely shredding right now? And I'm like, Joel, you have to meet him. He's an icon. So I'm just so grateful to be here with you and chatting. But yeah, what have you been up to? What's going on? What's new with you?
Man, I have been up to a lot of stuff. So still in school. So, you know, in the spring and the fall, that takes up a lot of my time. But while I'm in school, still, I can't remember if last time we talked, if I was doing the stuff with my local government.
Yeah, well, I don't think you talked about that at the time, but I remember we had caught up. Later, I was like, oh my God, we're working on more music stuff. And you were like, so actually, I just got elected to position in the government. What is that? Yeah. Say more.
So that's kind of interesting, right? Because my podcast actually kind of got me that job, which is cool. Somehow the mayor in our village ended up listening to my podcast. And so they had a board member drop out. And so normally it's an elected position, but if somebody quits midterm, the mayor can appoint them.
Oh my gosh.
So he was like, yeah, I've been listening to your podcast and you sound like somebody who's pretty deep thinking and stuff. I think you'd be good for the position. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'm up for trying something new. So I tried it, and then the term ended, and I got reelected this spring. So now I'm officially in. So I oversee the police, the fire, the parks, the tree board, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's a good time. So I do that, and I do school. I don't know if I had released my first book before we had...
No, I think you were working on a book at the time, but that's so exciting.
Yeah, so I released my first book. I've got a copy of that here. So that was The Sleeper, the Scholar, and the Strix.
Go buy it.
And that was a fantasy novel.
Oh my
and
God,
in a couple weeks, I'm going to release my second book, which is just a thin little thing. But let's see if I can get it in the photo. A treatise on challenges from nature to anthropocentric ontology. So that's a philosophy book.
So true.
That's a lot of big words, but it's not that scary. It's fun. I try to incorporate some humor, but essentially what I'm doing in it is looking at how our experience of reality is sort of biased by being people.
Yeah.
And so I bring in some examples from nature, look at a bunch of different animals, and just how they navigate the world and how that kind of challenges what sort of traditional philosophers have thought about what it means to be, what reality's like, what life's like. And I'm excited for it. It's only like 50 pages long, just a little, a treatise is a letter, essentially. But I think it's pretty cool.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I want to read these. I'm going to link them all down below so that you guys can read them too. That's so funny. It's so random. And I haven't talked about this at all because it feels I don't know. As someone who has not written a book before, it's like, oh, I'm working on a book. You know what I mean? Who am I? Who am I to write a book? But I have been writing just for funsies, a little thing about, funny enough, nature and the universe and how that kind of relates to all of our lives and how we got here and who we are today as people.
That's really cool.
I don't know what archaeological treatises, but we'll get there.
Yeah, no, I mean, we should talk about it for sure. You can come on my show and talk about your book sometime.
Oh my God.
That'd be great.
Wait, that would be so cute. I would love that.
Yeah. But no, I mean, you know me from the last conversation. Actually, I did a podcast with a guy yesterday where I was talking. I go, I'm just a big fan of getting stuff out there. Like, I'm an anti-perfectionist. I don't really think I'm good at much, but I just do a lot of stuff. I just do a lot of stuff and I have fun doing it. So as long as you're having fun and, you're willing to, I think that doing new stuff and making mistakes constantly sort of keeps you humble and it keeps you kind of playful in a childlike way, so it's easy to just be like, yeah, I wrote a book. And if somebody says it sucks, I'll be like, yeah, I know. Like, I wrote it. I'm aware it sucks.
Yeah.
But
what have you done?
Yeah, exactly.
What books are you putting out? But
yeah, it's just getting it out there, just having fun doing it.
No,
so
it's amazing.
Yeah, so a couple books, school, government. I've done a couple singles, and then I'm working on some more. I bought a new drum set and a metal guitar, so I've been working on some progressive metal stuff.
That's really exciting.
Which is a little bit different. Yeah. So my roots are in kind of alternative rock, and I've done some classical and some electronic, and I got into a really long dream pop phase, which was like my last couple singles, and now I'm kind of like, let's do metal.
Yeah.
So I'm learning how to do the double kick with the feet and do the trem picking with the guitar and stuff, and it's tricky, but I'm going to have fun with it.
So
I don't know if I'll get anything released on that in the next 2 years with the dissertation coming up, but it's a lot of fun to work on.
So are you still working full-time with all of this, too?
Yep. So business is going well, setting sales records and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been busy, but it's been a good time.
You're the most insane overachiever I have ever met, and people say that about me all the time. So truly, you're taking it to new levels. I am so proud of you. Everything that you do, just big round of applause. And did you release the Kokomo cover that you made for your wife that you sent to me?
No, I did not yet. So
but you should.
her birthday's Monday, and so she doesn't know about it yet. I don't know when this podcast comes out.
It'll be a couple weeks
because she doesn't follow anything I do, which is funny.
That's so true, Queen.
We are pretty opposite people, which I think is part of the reason we get along so well together. But I'm kind of super introverted, and I like doing my little hobbies on my own and stuff. And she's very personable and outgoing and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm going to spring that on her Monday, and then I'll leave it up to her. I say, hey, do you want me to release this, or do you want to just have this be your own thing?
Wait, that's so cute.
But yeah, I really like it. I think it came out really well.
It was great. I love it. Yeah, I would love for you to release it.
Yeah, she said it was her favorite song, and I was listening to it, and I go, it's like a 70s party song, but if you listen to the lyrics, you're like, there's kind of a ballad in here. There's sort of a love ballad in here a little bit. So I go, yeah, I'm going to redo it in kind of a beachy, surfy way and see if she likes it.
I love it. No, that's so great. And yeah, we had the Beach Boys on, which was so funny that you were like, I'm working on this cover. And I was like, that's so crazy. I just got to hang out with Mike Love randomly for no reason. And so that was super fun. But just the world be happening. I'm so excited.
Yeah, the part that sucks most about life is just that there's not enough time to do all the cool stuff. Because to me, everything is cool stuff. Like, I just love every part of being alive and doing stuff, and it's just that there's not enough time. You just run out of time to do things.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that you're doing all of this, and you're so young, and you have so much time to continue doing things. But I think there's a lot of people that don't even get to this point where they're even doing the things that they want to be doing all the time. You know what I mean? Like, so many people are spending their lives doing things they hate, in fact, with most of their life. And that is not a good thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I've tried to design my life from a pretty young age to just be doing things that I want to do. And it's funny to sort of strip that apart, because I remember when I was first getting into music, people were like, oh, well, are you going to try to become a professional musician? I go, no, because I did that for a while. I toured and stuff. And like I mentioned, I'm an introvert. So like, I don't really like being on stage. I don't like pulling around equipment. I like sitting in my studio and recording songs. So my job's not super glamorous or anything, but I love doing it because it's a perfect mix of physical and intellectual and social challenge. And if you're going to do something a third of your life, you might as well enjoy it. So I just try to apply that to everything across the board. Like, if I'm doing something, I just want it to be something I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate, and I think it's something that kind of keeps you young, right? It's funny, the show I was on yesterday, the guy, we were talking about stuff, and he goes, man, you you look like you're about 18 years old, but you couldn't be. And I go, no, I'm not anywhere near 18 years old. And then I watch your show and I go, I'm probably the oldest person to ever be on
No.
Pardon My Success.
That is absolutely incorrect. I can tell you that for a fact. We have had some excellently aged, wise, older folks on here for sure. Don't you worry.
Good.
But yeah, how has your podcast been going from nowhere to nothing? What are we philosophizing about these days?
We've been all over the board recently. We did, I think it's our longest series. It was like 6 or 7 episodes in a row where we basically did surprise rounds, which was interesting. What we do is I'd pick a philosophical thought experiment and Norm would pick one. We wouldn't tell them what they are. And then just live on the show, we'd spring them on each other and try to see what your reaction to it was. So that was really interesting because we don't script stuff really anyways.
Yeah.
You know, usually I like to write about one question for every 10 minutes of the episode. So I'll have 6 questions going in, and sometimes we cover them all. Sometimes I ask the first one and we talk about it for an hour. But that was really interesting because there's nothing to go on. Like, okay, I knew what philosophical thought experiment I had been thinking about all week and what I was going to give him. But I had no idea what he was going to talk to me about. So like, I just had to react in the moment. So we did that. We did one on pets. So I like doing those kind of down-to-earth, fun ones because one of the things that we believe is that everything's philosophical and that everybody's a philosopher, right?
Yep.
So anything that you think deeply about is that way. And so anytime we can do one that doesn't fit into the traditional mold, you couldn't imagine Socrates or Plato or Aristotle stroking their beards thinking about what the definition of a pet is. So I always like doing those ones. They're kind of cool.
That's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah, we did space exploration, I think was the most recent one. So we've been all over the map, but yeah.
That's super cool. Go check that out. That'll be linked down below. Very fun, very fun. Oh my goodness, you're going across the board. You're doing so many things. Did you have any philosophical revelations in recent episodes that you would like to share?
Man, it seems like every episode there's something. Space exploration was an interesting one because it's something that both Norm and I are really into. As far as philosophy goes, outer space might be my primary interest.
Oh, wow.
Followed closely by consciousness, which is what I'm actually studying academically, is psychology. But really, I think that physics and metaphysics, I enjoy them even more, thinking about, well, what happened at the beginning of the universe?
Yes.
Is there anything outside the universe? And, all of this other stuff.
Wait, that's so silly. That's how my book starts. In the beginning of the universe. LOL. Anyway.
So I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit more fun and lighthearted. I even started up, I think, with the monologue I was talking about. I saw Olivia Rodrigo on
Love
Jimmy Fallon. And she said, a question she'll ask on the first date is if the guy would ever want to go to space. And if he said yes, she says, yeah, I'm not dating you because there's something wrong with you, right? And really, I mean, it's a good point because outer space is so dangerous.
Yeah.
But just to have the chance to see something that spectacular is just something I've always thought about. But as we got into the episode, finding out that it might not be something humanity's really ready for when you dig into it. There's a lot of pie-in-the-sky idealism about space exploration, but when you really start to think about it and you start to look around here on Earth and see the way things are, you go, maybe we're not ready to be leaving the planet yet.
I literally had this exact conversation with my boyfriend because he was like, space is like the last frontier and like we should be exploring it and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like we have enough problems that we're not dealing with right here at home that I think we can maybe focus a little bit more of our time and energy on. But
yeah, and that's kind of what it came down to, was kind of the difference between exploration and exploitation, right? Is that I think that there's a lot of people at the individual level who have the altruistic motivations of wanting to find out more about the universe and the natural world and really explore that final frontier. But the problem is the people with the money to finance that exploration are in it for something else. And it can create some militaristic and economic chaos that we might be better off leaving alone in the near term anyways.
that is kind of how I feel. I'm not a billionaire yet, and so I am not in charge yet of our space exploration. But maybe one day. Well, who knows? Who knows?
If you are, put me on a rocket. I want to go.
I got you. I don't want to go, but I'll fund Joel to fly to space.
All right.
It'll be great. It'll be a good time.
Excellent.
I believe in you.
It's on the bucket list.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'll put you on there. I got it. I'm noting that down. What I've kind of been working on right now with music, I am trying to produce things. It's so hard. Production is so hard. And I prefer live instruments. I really prefer having actual musicians doing things. I love getting to sit down with musicians on like the song that I was just working on with my friend upstairs. I sat down with a different friend of mine who put down a bunch of different guitar tracks. And that was just so cool getting to sit there and like watch it happen. If you could walk us through maybe a little bit of your music making process.
So most importantly, when writing music. So I'm a Zen practitioner, right? I participate in Zen meditation. And part of that is sort of clearing away the clutter of your mind and some of your preconceptions about stuff. And I think that that's most important when creating art, right? Because part of being a good artist is practice. But part of practice is ingraining these neural pathways of how to do something a certain way.
Yeah.
Which is inversely correlated with creativity, right? It's bad for creativity. So practice good, but practice bad. So the best way to do it is to be intentional, right? In the early stages, it's good to really get that muscle memory established for how your drum set's set up, or what the chords are, or what your strum pattern is, or where the keys on the keyboard are. I'm not a big believer in the guys who are, oh yeah, I practice 6 hours a day just running through scales. I mean, if you're in a highly technical musical genre, like classical, if you're playing for a symphony orchestra, or if you're a progressive metal musician, somebody very technical, sure. Everybody else, it's not necessary for you to practice 6 hours a day running through scales or chords. Right? What practice sessions should look like once you have the muscle memory established is trying to do something new, trying to do something that you haven't done before, right? And usually that's where inspirations for songs pop up for me, is I go, I want to try to play something I haven't played before, whether it's on bass or drums or guitar or wherever. And then usually once I find that thing, that lick or that beat or whatever it is, I go, oh yeah, this is super cool. And then now how can I integrate that with some other stuff that I am well practiced with? And usually right then, as soon as I start relating those things, something pops out. And as you write songs, you start to pick up on how structures go, so that when you can put that new thing with the old thing, sometimes it's tempting to go, yeah, this is the chorus. Sometimes it's not, though. Sometimes it's not going to be the coolest part of the song. As a matter of fact, a lot of times the verses of songs, whether it's harmony or or melody, they're more complex than the chorus.
Yeah.
So it's really putting a new thing with an old thing, figuring out where that works in a song, and then sort of building everything else around it. So a lot of that's conceptual and abstract, and you can do the whole thing in your head. I've done it at work where I've written the whole song in my head, and then I'm hiding in a corner, singing it into my phone so I don't forget it. And then I come home, and usually when I'm sitting down to play, the first thing I'll do is I'll find what the tempo for the song is, tap that into the DAW. I use Cakewalk Sonar. It's free. Some people prefer Reaper or prefer other DAWs. I won't tell you what to use.
Is this
I've just
like
been using it for
Logic?
years.
It's your version.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like,
Same
okay.
thing.
Good. All right.
Just a recording program. Anyone will work. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can use. But putting the tempo in first, and then I'll do a scratch guitar, where whatever the main instrument's going to be, whether it's acoustic or electric or whatever, you just play the whole song all the way through so that you have the structure down. And usually at that point, that's when I write lyrics for the song as well. Because sometimes what you'll find is that if you just have a guitar part, you go, oh, okay, this is a cool song. And then when you go to record the lyrics, you go, oh, the verse is half as long as I would have liked. I want to put more words into it. Or I would have wanted to repeat a chorus at the end or whatever. So lyrics and guitar, usually I'll record a scratch with both of them together, and then after that I'll start with the drums. And what I do is I like to play the drums, so I have a drum kit here, an E-drum kit that plugs right into the computer.
Wait, that's so sick.
So I bought a new drum kit, so I have an extra tom and an extra crash cymbal now.
Oh my gosh.
So
wait, I've always wanted one of those. I want to
Yeah.
learn how to play the drums. I would love to also learn how to play the guitar, but I have no money. So one day we're going to find those. But no, that's so sick. I love that. I start with the lyrics first, generally, most of the time for anything. And I will sit down and scratch track, record a vocal thing, and then start to build things around that. Do you ever kind of start that way and then work your way back? Or are you a guitar traditionalist?
Yeah, it's funny. No, so I will start with everything but the lyrics. I've written songs off of guitar parts, off of drum parts, off of bass parts, off of piano parts, but I've never been able to write lyrics first and then put a song around it. But I've done it for other people. I kind of did it for you, but you had some music. I did a whole album for a singer-songwriter guy one time who all he had was lyrics. So he just sang into his phone and then said, hey, can you make me songs off of this? And I made him whole arrangements.
That's really cool.
And then he would come over and tweak them if there was some music stuff that he didn't care for, or if he wanted to change, and then he would sing the final vocals on top of it. And we did a whole album that way.
Wow.
But me personally, I've never been able to start with the lyrics. I just haven't. Every once in a while, I'll get a lyric that pops into my head, and I go, I need to use that for something. But usually I end up putting that retroactively into a musical arrangement that I've written.
That's really interesting. Oh, my goodness. Okay. It's cool just to see the creative process. You know what I mean? It's different for everybody. But that's super sick.
Yeah, and that's part of it. You don't stifle it no matter how it pops up, because that's part of the creative process, too. But just that exercise of trying comes up with something that's sort of new and fresh compared to what you might normally do.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I've got a few different topics I'm thinking about doing my dissertation on, but that's one of them.
I was literally going to ask.
Yeah, is how, basically, if you take trait curiosity, which is how naturally curious somebody is, combined with measures of a need for cognitive closure, which is not liking ambiguity, wanting answers, and then how people engage with AI based off of those two metrics. Are people who need cognitive closure more likely to use it like a search engine like Google, whereas people who are more curious are more likely to prompt continually and kind of head down rabbit holes, for better or for worse, that type of thing. Yeah, it's something I'm interested in because it's fascinating. You know, it's one of those things where both at the same time you can be just tired of hearing about it, but also kind of like, yeah, this is something that's definitely very important. You know, it's kind of a watershed moment for society, like when the internet was invented or anything like that.
That's literally what I was saying to someone the other day, where it's like the internet, where everyone's like, it's going to take over the world. And it's like, yeah, maybe. If we do it badly, can we, I don't know, put some good restrictions on here? And also, can we all take a moment and realize that it's not a person and it's not your best friend, and, you know, it is a tool.
But on the other hand, it creates an oversaturation. Yes. And also, it reduces the consequences for it, right? If you actually wanted to be a musician, I had to build my own computer and learn all the instruments, do all the stuff to make it happen. Whereas now it's like, okay, I'm just going to type a prompt in and it'll spit something out. It's just this weird combination of, oh, wow, that's really cool, but also you're kind of cheating at life, right? I heard a guy say it the other day this way. Yeah, if you could just like push a button and be at the finish line of a marathon every time. Oh, yeah, sometimes you'd be tempted to do it, but you wouldn't really be a runner. Part of it is that hard work, the experience of going through it. So, yeah, I think that's the important thing that people need to keep in mind. Part of being human is having the experience of the journey along the way in whatever it is that you're engaging in. You know,
Absolutely.
It's not just the finished product of things, it's the engagement.
Yeah, actually, and it's funny that you talked about the open closed-mindedness, or like the needing to complete. I literally just listened to a podcast episode about this, NPR's Hidden Brain. It's so random.
Oh, I love that.
I love that podcast.
Shankar Vedantam. Yeah, he's great.
What an icon. No, and they literally had a whole episode about the closed-mindedness versus ability for ambiguity, and I was like, that's so crazy. But they also had another episode about how, as much as, yes, humans generally seem to want the easy way out of things, a lot of times you will actually find that we get more satisfaction and more pride and overall meaning out of doing things the hard way. And that's something that we also crave, is, you know, having that purpose and feeling like we actually put work into something.
I had something else I wanted to talk about when you were mentioning that. Shankar, I'm sure he might have mentioned it. You know, we were talking about how deep down you want to work hard, right? And that's because as a student of psychology, and I'm sure Shankar mentioned this because he's a psychologist, the reason for that is finishing a project or having a finished project creates a huge neurotransmitter hit, a dopamine hit or a serotonin hit or whatever. So it feels really good. And hard work gives you a little bit, just a little bit. And so that's the thing, is there's so many things that can, in the modern world, that can sort of derail us because they give you the big dopamine hit without the hard work. But the problem is that your brain sort of habituates to that, and then you have a higher threshold for getting to that same level of pleasure. And so it's one of those things where it's like, well, instead of, I don't know, eating junk food, if you actually working out, initially, it's going to feel really hard, and you're just going to get a little bit of endorphins, a little bit of dopamine. But then the more you keep doing it, the more it builds on itself until you actually start to enjoy it, right? And it's actually a lot of fun. And it can get to that point where it's much more satisfying than the quick hits that you had before, and it's healthier for you. So that's just on a physical level, but I think there's so many things, even on musical creativity or anything else, AI usage to cheat on your schoolwork or whatever it might be. Doing the hard work provides you that little bit of satisfaction and enjoyment and realization that you accomplished something that in the long term can sort of trump that immediate big hit of, here's something that's finished, even if I didn't legitimately do it. You know?
No, exactly. I think in the podcast too, they talked about how we actually value something that we create and put hard work into as being more important or better in some way because of the effort that we put into it versus, if you put less effort into things, you are automatically going to value it less because it doesn't have that energy of you in it. And I think that's important. And like in everything that we do, you should be putting your utmost into it and really trying. I would hope. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that there is a caveat to that. It should be fun as well, right? I think there's a lot of people that they've accomplished amazing things by working really hard, but they don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost as empty or meaningless. I was taking pictures of a couple galaxies this past weekend.
So true.
The Pinwheel Galaxy and the Whirlpool Galaxy. So they're both over 20 million light years away. And so as a result, when I first set up my telescope, there's just nothing. It's just black. And you start taking the picture, and then you start layering the pictures on top of each other, and then you start to see something fuzzy. And then after 100 exposures, boom, here's this awesome photo, right? And so is it kind of hard work to do it? Yeah, it can be. But also, is it kind of fun? Yeah, it's sort of cool to be out there. Same thing with music or anything. Just anything at all. If you're not enjoying doing it, I don't know. I think that the whole idea of doing things for a legacy is crazy, right? Because
you're not going to be around.
Yeah.
You won't be.
Like, I don't have any kids, but even if you did, I don't know what my great-great-great-grandfather's last name was or what he did. Yep. So you can't be thinking about that far down the road. It's what you're doing now, and are you enjoying it to some extent?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm so glad to see that you're doing so much and enjoying it. Do you have any last pieces of advice for our young artist audiences out there?
Just put stuff out. Just do stuff. Like I mentioned, I'm an anti-perfectionist, and when you get to my age, you have a lot of friends who have been working on the same song for 10 or 15 years, and it's never been released because it's not ready. And the truth is, it's just never going to be ready. So put it out there. And I've put a lot of stuff out there over the years, and it has this predictable pattern. I always put something out there and I'm really excited about it. And then a year or two later, I'm really disappointed because I would have done something different. And then a year or two after that, I'm really happy because all of those things that I didn't know and all the flaws and the mistakes and everything else really creates an accurate snapshot of where I was at that in my life, and it's really special because of that. I wouldn't have wanted it to be this glossy, perfect thing because that's not where I was in my musical journey at that time.
Exactly.
So just put stuff out there. Just put it out there and move on to the next thing and revisit it down the road when you know a little bit more.
Exactly. No, you are so absolutely correct. And I think that everything that we do should be a little memorial of your journey, and just go out there, create, make things, do the thing, because, we only have this one life. And so I hope that you're having fun during it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
And that's what I like. People like to treat life like it's a game. But the difference is, if you win a football game, you get to celebrate after you win. In life, there is no after the game. There's no celebrating after you win. All there is the game, right? So you have to enjoy playing, right? You have to enjoy being here and doing what you're doing.
Yeah, enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. Do the thing that you want to do. Get out there. We believe in you. But thank you so much, Joel, for coming back on, for giving us so much knowledge. And I'm so excited to check back in with you in a little bit and find out exactly where you are then, for having written 20 more books and, taken over the world, becoming president. Who knows? Who knows? I'd vote for you.
You never know.
All right, thank you so
Thanks
much,
for having me.
Joel. I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Are you PMSing?
Are you PMSing?